live. What's happening, everybody? Hope you're having a fantastic whatever day it is for you. So, doing a bit of an open chat tonight. A few topics we can jump on primarily. Having one of these cars is a lot of fun. But if you're trying to take the thing to the drag strip, it can start to get a little bit frustrating when track prep isn't exactly what you want, or tire situations keep you from going to the drag strip, or whatever the case is. Fact of the matter, no matter what you got, Scat Pack, Hellcat, it really doesn't matter. You can't get the most out of any of these cars unless you're running on a tire, and really, quite honestly, unless you're running on a prepared surface. So with the weather conditions being what they are, and at the time of this video, it's in the middle of February, normally this is when you start to get really good air. And to be honest with you, we've had some pretty stellar opportunities lately. I was able to get a 10.08 out of this car in fairly clean air, although it wasn't super deep DA. It was still pretty good, obviously, and have run just nothing but teens in basically 0 DA or thereabouts. So like a corrected number type of DA. But last night, tried to take the car to the drag strip and didn't quite go as well as I had hoped. I wanted to bring you guys some ride-along videos and, maybe some commentary. It just didn't play out very well. Problem that we ran into is it was a weird night. Not a lot of people at the drag strip, strangely enough, but enough people there to where you had no track prep. There was a lot of street cars ish. I mean, it was still about 50-50. They just weren't keeping up with track prep because there weren't that many cars there. Although the very first hit, the car did run a 10.18 at just shy of 132, which, to be fair, was about what I thought the car was going to run on its first hit. And the only reason why I say that is because I was running a little bit fat on fuel, and the DA was good, but it wasn't like freak you out kind of barometric pressure or anything like that. I'm going to kind of circle back around to that too, as far as, going out, trying to get your best time and personal best and breaking records or whatever. Man, if every time you take your car to the drag strip, you're trying to get a personal best, or you're not going to be happy unless the thing runs a personal best or cracks a record or something like that, you're setting yourself up for failure. You can only set a record once and then have to chase it or back it up from there, and personal bests only come at one time of the year. So, for me, it's just fun having seat time, getting out, hanging out with folks and having fun. But again, circling back to the whole fun part about it, without the track prep, these cars don't work. And that's the issue that I ran into. First pass right out of the gate, 10.18, clockwork hit. After that, track prep went south, and I mean quick. And the other side to this is that you had humidity that was coming up at an alarming rate. It was funny because we started off the night at about, I think it was like 58, 60, whatever percent humidity. I think by my second attempt, I think it was already back up to it was up to like 72 or 78. I think my last hit was, I forget how it worked out. Anyway, long story short, humidity was crazy. So that was kind of hurting things as well. It's one of those nights, but figured I'd share that with you guys. Like I say, the car did great. I can't really fault it. I'd gone up to the Exxon that I always go to and put gas in it, went straight to the track. No biggie, easy peasy. So let me check with you guys, and then we can jump into whatever y'all want to talk about. Slash and Zim, what's up, buddy? Saying, what's up, B? Hemi Challenger saying, long time no see. What's up, Hemi? Chuck is in. Shiv Nation saying, what up, Mr. R&D? Got the flex. I like it. Hemi saying, miss my B. What up, man? Ryan is in. What's up, man? Eric saying, good evening for us, or B with the flexing. I like it. And he's saying, Ian Professor. Boost Hemi saying, hi from North Carolina, headed to the 8th mile tomorrow. Very nice. Dana Funk saying, hype for my 5.76 speed going into the shop and modify for getting a P1X. Very nice. You'll like that. It's a lot of fun. You'll have a lot of fun with that car. The P1 combinations and the 5.7s are fun. They make pretty good power, and it's, you know, for a lot of guys, especially if you like highway hits, it is very usable. Hang on. You get this thing figured out. So weather down here in beautiful southeast Texas has been, oh, I don't know, bipolar to say the least. One day it's hot, one day it's freezing cold. One day it could be cold in the morning and hot in the afternoon, or vice versa. You never know down here. Mon Red's in saying track was supposed to be open today, but the weather went south, cold and extremely windy. Bummer. So they canceled. Looking to get my 5.7 that is now putting down 733 and 595 to the track. Let us know how it does. 870 Apache's asking, is a throttle body spacer worth it? No, it is not. Not on these cars. Oh, Modern Red, that's stock bottom in on E85. Very cool. David's in saying, Canada in the house. What up, Canada? He's asking, if I got into the negative 2000 DA, do you think nines are possible for you? So no-ish. The thing is, you got to remember with these cars is that I'm kind of timing limited with this thing with 93 octane. So negative 2,000 foot DA is going to put me in a weird position in terms of actual timing tables. I can't really add a lot of timing to this car, and the higher your air charge on the chart, and I'm waving my hands around like you can actually see in my head, but the higher you are in terms of air charge, the lower the timing that you're going to have. So there's a happy median with these cars, and it's really on 93 octane. That number is really somewhere around negative 700 to negative 1,000. That's kind of that's the magic hour for cars on 93 octane. Now, if I decided to go with like E85 or something like that, man, all bets are off, and I can throw all the timing in the world that I want at the car. And at this boost level, with really good E85, I could run whatever timing I really wanted to be honest with you. I mean, I could easily be in the 21 to 23 degrees of timing range, even at that air charge. So, you know, could I do it on 93? It would be really tough. I would probably have to pull a little bit of weight, and I don't think be able to do it on straight 93 octane. I would probably have to have a little bit of fuel insurance in the tank, and that's just because I would be more concerned about fuel quality at that point. So I'd probably have maybe 2 ounces of butane in the tank just to be on the safe side, not tuning to the 2 ounces of butane in the tank, but maybe 3 ounces for half a tank of gas. But I wouldn't be tuning for it. It would just be gas insurance, and that's it. And I tried not to run that stuff because, I mean, I'm trying to do this just on straight Exxon pump gasoline. So, but the stuff does work if you've got bad gas. I have proven that, and I've tested that now on 2 separate occasions, and it worked out pretty good. So, but man, it would be a tough ask if the car dead hooked the way that it did the other night on the slick and radial night. I would say 1003 or 1001 might have been possible with a little bit better DA. See, the problem, the issue that you run into is you've got to hit the barometric pressure threshold just right. And that's one of the biggest indicators as to what you're going to run. Really good baro, the car will usually run a pretty strong number, just like everybody's does. But my car is pretty consistent, even at 30 inches of mercury. My car will absolutely, with a DA of 0, for example, with 30 inches of mercury, if you were to like correct it, it's a 10-20 car all day, all night. So pivot number on that, maybe a 1022, 1025, something like that. Oh, Chuck's asking, can we chat about shop gear? I'm a strong guy, but I can't lift my 440 Magnum into the engine bay. What hoist would you recommend? Anything rented or rentable. I mean, shit, we didn't really, we run just a regular hoist, regular lifts, and regular stands. So, I mean, any of the Harbor Freight stuff for just, goofing off around the shop will work absolutely just fine. There's absolutely no such thing as a bad engine stand that I've found. So, any of those hoists are good. The main thing is just to make sure you don't scar up the hydraulics in it. The hydraulic shaft, a lot of times that can get marred up, and that's what can kill those things, or at least make them leak. But I mean, I've never had to even think about the name brand of hoist, to be honest with you. Pittsburgh. Works like a charm. Just get good quality hardware and chains. Bruce is asking about what's my EDC. I don't even know what EDC is, so I guess I don't have one. Chuck's asking, I was going to do the mods route with my RT show. What happened? Bruce I don't know what just happened here. Hang on. The feed just freaked out. Sorry, guys. Hang on. Timeout. What happened to my feed over here? There goes Chuck. Just asking, do we all have 41 spline half shafts, 392s and Hellcats A8 and M6, or only red eyes? I believe that's only the red eyes. I think ours are 38. Either way, it really doesn't matter, because you can frag a red eye shaft just as quick as you can frag a Hellcat. So it's really, I wouldn't even worry about the spline count, to be honest with you, because you'll pop the CV joint normally before you pop a spline. That's usually the weak link. So I'll put it to you like this. We've been running scat pack rear ends with stock Hellcat half shafts. Actually, I've got it set literally right down there. But we've been running scat pack rear ends with stock Hellcat half shafts with cars that have been going 980, 960, 940, and I will say that at that power level, it is probably a matter of time. There's only so many 130, 60 foot that those half shafts can take. But I mean, I've got hundreds of passes on my stock Hellcat shafts with no issues with 140, 60 foots. Being pretty easy in this weather, and 155, 151, 60 foots in hot weather. So if you're worried about the power capabilities or anything like that, you are actually not going to be in a bad place, provided that you don't get into a situation with a lot of wheel hop. If you find yourself in a situation with wheel hop, chop throttle immediately. But the higher spline shafts, depending on power level, it won't make a huge difference if you get into a bunch of wheel hop, because I don't know that the CV joint is far and away superior to the Hellcat CV, and that's normally what will break first, from what I've seen anyway. Nixon, what's up, brother? Saying sitting at work, catching a little bit of the live. Very cool. Nick just picked up a sick to death termy, so I'm jealous. Chuck's in saying, okay, thanks, Bruce, saying everyday carry. See, the thing is I haven't really, to be honest with you, I haven't really settled on one that I like. I've had a SIG 40, which I liked, but I didn't like just the frame of it didn't fit well. The frame that fit me the best was my H&K USP 40, and I mean, just something about the thing, it fit well, but I feel like I couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with that thing. The H&K USP 9 that I had, or that I'd shot, it wasn't mine. Had it for a little bit, but I didn't belong to me. That thing, I liked it, but it still ran into the same problem. For whatever reason, in any Glock that I've ever touched, I've been able to have real pretty groupings, and just it fit right and everything was just nice. I know a lot of people go, Glock. The problem is that for me and the way my eyeballs work and the way that I'll set up, the Glock just worked really well, and the guns that I really liked just never did. But what I'll typically now have with me is I just have a 38, and the only issue that I have with any kind of cylinder gun is I don't like hammers. I've been back and forth on this too. I don't like revolvers with. I would prefer to have a hammerless revolver, and what I would prefer to carry would be a hammerless 357 Magnum, because that's what I'm actually really comfortable with. It's a platform that I've shot. I can't remember the damn part number on the frame that I was shooting. It was one of these deals where you got to like do a flight of different handguns. And what was the damn name of that thing? Anyway, I really like that one, but I haven't really settled on anything just yet. I'm looking at a couple of options, and of course the Hellcat came up, but I haven't shot one, so I don't know what that thing's all about. But hopefully that answers the question. I kind of wish that I would have spent more time with my HK. I really liked that thing. It was durable. I had it for a long time. I just would never. It's one of those things where if you're not going to the range, you need to be going to the range to be comfortable and everything. And I get that, but that thing just wasn't fun. The other thing is that it just never seemed to be consistent. So anyway, that doesn't answer your question, because there really isn't an answer to that. But I'll typically walk around with an inexpensive 38, something I can grab and go with. But for the most part, I haven't settled on whether or not I want to go with a hammerless 357 Magnum, or if I want to stick with something. Well, what I would prefer would be something magazine fed, and I'm leaning heavily to, and I hate to say it, but I'm leaning very heavily to Glocks. Ryan's asking, I have a huge question. I was wondering if the new 8-speed transmission would bolt up to an old 360. Not yet, it's sort of. I was thinking about stroking a 360 to 408 and trying to make an old school, new school scat pack. You can. I think the bolt pattern is practically identical to a 727, but there are some spacers. There's a company that there might be a couple of companies out now. You just have to do a search for 8-speed to LA engine swap, and I think that there's a few that are out there. I think you can find there's a couple of companies I also believe that make controllers for that thing. Obviously you'll have to get a very custom drive shaft for that, but I mean, for what you're looking for, it's going to end up costing you pretty decent money. The HP 70 for a 408 would be pretty good, but I would say that an HP 90 would always be better, just long-term durability. You're going to be spending the money anyway, man. If you can preferably look at the 90 over the 70. The 70 will manage a 408 pretty good, but because I mean, your 408, if it's a street-based program, you're not. I mean, you might be in the same range as like a somewhat healthy 392. You know, like a bolt-on deal, putting down like on a dyno jet 460, 470 to the rear wheels. That's about the happy limit, I would say. A lot of people will argue with me about this, but on a sticky tire, at least, that's the happy limit for those cars, or for those transmissions, rather. Chuck saying, gonna go with a kitty next, but wouldn't a manual Hellcat be better for street? I don't go to the track much. Man, that's 100%, it's super subjective. A lot of guys really like manual Hellcats. I just got to tell you, man, I'm not sold on it. But here's the thing. If you decide to go that route, absolutely do the clutch line mod. The clutch restrictor mod is going to have to be one of the first things you get done. Secondly, put a Barton shifter in the thing. That thing makes the car nice to drive. Here's the problem. The car doesn't have enough gear with a 370 rear end and the 228 first gear that comes in that transmission. At least in my opinion. You could maybe cheat the thing down with a 392, like 3.92 ratio that comes in the manual scat packs. But it's not that big of a bump, but it's a little bit. That's like a down the line type of a modification. If you're just bored to tears one day and want to spend some money on your car, you can at least still do that, but it's not going to be that big of a difference, but it's still like an 8% difference or something like that. So at least there's that to consider. But they're a lot of fun to drive just as a car. If you haven't had the opportunity to drive one in a bubble, this is the best way I can explain. It's kind of like the GT500 for me. In a bubble, they're really good. Just don't try to compare it to anything else, because it'll suffer for the comparison. But as a driver's car, where you've got all this extra torque and all this just fun that you can have with the thing, it can be a lot of fun to play with. So it's a fun car. But the thing is, I will tell you this. With the 370 gear stock, just stock out of the box, you have a tendency to really feel the weight of that platform with a manual transmission. My favorite combination, with that being said, my favorite combination for that car is just like what I was talking about, the line restrictor mod, the Barton shifter. Gear, yes or no, but find a local shop, have your stock crank pulley pinned, and put the Hellraiser pulley on it. Put the 317 pulley on it. And I say pin your crank. Some will say you need to, some will say you don't. Just take that with a grain of salt. But if you don't plan on doing anything else to the car, put a 317 clutched upper pulley on the thing. It'll pick up a couple of pounds of boost and it'll liven the car up a little bit. This is medicinal boost as far as I'm concerned, to coin a phrase. But it is. For that car, it's medicinal boost. It needs the extra boost to get going and to overcome the, just quite honest, just this not exactly ideal gearing that car has. So anyway, hopefully that helps you. It's my personal favorite combination to drive. You're gonna need it. You're gonna need injectors, Hellcat wise. You're gonna need injectors. Stock pump will work just fine on pump gas. It's a good, fun, happy little combination. Picks up again a couple of pounds of boost. Not quite red eye power numbers, but you'll be in the ballpark, and it'll just be a lot more fun. It'll give that second and third gear tip in a lot more snap, and that's really what you're looking for with that combination. Mr. Driver, thank you very much, buddy. Saying, hey B, should 15 to 16 cats use the 17 and up oil dipstick that reads 7 quarts as opposed to 15, 16s reading 6.5 quarts? Hellcat's forum saying this. Any truth? Man, here's the funny thing. I don't have it sitting here with me, but I have the technical data sheet showing the same part number that I have for all the years. And so, but my book, where is my book? It should be right over here. I think I put it somewhere else. Anyway, Mine's showing 6 quarts, oddly enough. Yeah, if there's a running line TSB for your car for that oil dipstick, then yeah, go ahead and do it. I know there are a boatload of guys that don't. There's a lot of guys that will kind of go back and forth on that, saying, yeah, you need the extra quart. Other guys saying, no, you don't. I can only offer this to you. When I change the oil in my car, there are some things that I just don't do. And again, take this for what it's worth, but when I'm changing the oil in my car, I change it to where the oil is at, and I would literally walk you out there to show you this. It will not come up on camera. But I put the oil all the way to the top dot of the dipstick that's in my car. And when I do that, I feel fine with the amount of oil that's in the car. So, I believe the part number, oh hell, hang on just a second. Let me go get it. Hang on, damn it. All right, so hopefully this will come up on camera. You can see how mine is on the dipstick tube. It comes right to, and it's going to get a little bit blurry, but when it's ice cold, I will fill it to that dot right here. That little guy right there. And the part number on this one is, what is that? 6817 4984 AC. I believe that is the later dipstick. So, one of y'all do me a favor and look up that part number. It's 6817 4984 AC. That's, I believe, the replacement. If that thing will. Again, 6817 4984 AC. But again, I just fill it up to right here. I don't bother draining my oil cooler or anything like that. I know there's guys that'll go out there and say, oh, you got to do that. Man, I change my oil so often that, and there's, no. I dump the oil, put the filter in, and it's usually like right at 6 quarts, give or take, to get it to that level right there. So there you go. But that's what it'll look like when it's dead ice cold. When it's warm and it's been running, the proper procedure, by the way, if you don't know, it kind of brings up a good point. A lot of guys don't know this, but proper way to check oil is at operating temperature. With the vehicle idling, you're going to let the car sit idling, whatever, for a couple of minutes while it's at the operating temperature, then shut it off and wait for about 5 minutes, then check the oil. It'll still have some oil up in the cylinder head, but not much, and most of it will drain back to the pan. Anyway, that's the shop manual way to check it. But anyway, when you do that, it'll be like right up to this little line right here. It'll cover the dot. That's the main thing. As long as I'm covering the dot on that part number dipstick, I'm good. And I data log everything so much, and again, haven't had any issues with oil pressure ever. I mean, she is always rock star oil pressure, no matter what. So anyway, hopefully that helps. I'm going to put this thing back in the car. But yeah, mine actually, I've got the card in my, I've actually got the card in the owner's manual saying, you know, it's been through whatever recall process, and that's the one that I've got. I think I remember asking, who was I asking? Who was I talking to about it? I believe I verified that that part number was for the later cars. Let's see. Hang on. Hilton saying, what kind of mods are you looking forward to with Stellantis' new inline-six? Well, here's the thing. First of all, how are they going to fuel this thing? I'm interested to see what kind of fuel system they're going to bring, what the capacity is going to be, what size pump they're going to be running, and what type and what size injectors that they're going to be working with. That alone is going to start to dictate everything else that you do to that thing. But obviously from there, what kind of turbo are they going to have? What's the architecture of the actual engine itself with the turbocharger? How is it going to be attached? Is the manifold going to be outside the cylinder head, or is it going to be one of the ones that's incorporated into the cylinder head? There's that to look at. What type of a flange are we looking at? What type of modifications are going to need to be made to run like a T4 flange with like a 78 millimeter turbo, something like that? What we're really going to be faced with also from there is just how robust is the bottom end on this thing, which I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty good. And from there, it's just, the big part for me, this is the thing that would, they haven't done it yet, but will it be flex fuel compatible? That's going to be another thing to look at. So lots of things to look forward to, lots of wish list items, but what transmission is going to be behind it? Is there going to be a hybrid variant? There's going to be a lot of things to look at with this car. But with it being an inline-six, it's going to mean that packaging, at least in terms of being able to add power to it without really scraping too much skin off your knuckles, should be fairly easy. That's the beauty of an inline-six, is that you've got one side with a bunch of intake crap, the other side's got a bunch of exhaust stuff on it. I mean, it's just a beautiful thing. So, again, hopefully we'll start getting some details on that. If that's the route they're going to go, I can only imagine if I could get my hands on an inline-six turbo truck, I would freaking lose my mind, I'm pretty sure. Nick's saying, Cobra is rowdy, man. Did some general maintenance on it today. Air fuel is kind of all over on it. Got some fine tuning to do. I understand that. Chuck's saying he likes the Springfield 45 or 357 mag. Smith, good one. HK is nice too, but it depends on your hand size. Yeah, the HK, here's the messed up part of it. The HK felt great. Like the AK felt nice. The downside of the Glocks always feel small to me. I don't have extraordinarily big hands, but I mean, I've got, maybe a little bit bigger than normal, that for whatever reason, a lot of the Glocks just kind of feel small in my hand. The HK felt really good. The SIG, again, it just felt, and again, I apologize, I can't remember the exact model that it was, but the SIG felt a little bit too bulky. Unnecessarily bulky. But even though the Glock does feel kind of small, I would rather it feel a little bit smaller than a little bit too big. But again, the H&K, and again, it could have just been I had a dud H&K, because I've heard of a lot of guys that love those things, and it never really worked out for me, unfortunately. Oh, Hemi saying he bought the Hellcat, fit my hand well. I like it real well. Glocks are just slightly wider. Gotcha. Yeah, I haven't even had a chance to handle one, so but I have been looking into them. Like I say, I've heard some good reviews of them, so always open to the new stuff too. Oh, Ryan saying he was thinking about the 90. Yeah, probably a good way to go. Oh, Roy's saying he's got two Glock 26s, never jammed up and always reliable. Yeah, like I say, I mean they're just staple guns. I mean they're just tick 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 click click click. I mean they just keep working and always work. You know, so that's kind of one of the reasons why I like the idea of going that route. It's just I'm gonna have to set aside some time and just get to the range and see if I can run several different Glocks, maybe another HK. I don't want to dismiss it just because I really like the HK and I can literally in my head disassemble that thing and reassemble it. I mean, it's super simple, super easy to break down. So that's one of the reasons why I liked it so much. But man, that thing was just, I'd probably be more accurate if I threw the thing 20 yards downrange. And again, Mr. Driver, thank you, buddy. Hopefully that answered your question, by the way. Sambo's asking, what's the fastest safe shift time on a stock Nag 1 and the most you can reduce upshift torque reduction? That's gonna be, I think some guys go with 200 milliseconds on those. 400 milliseconds is just fine though. That'll get you down track without any issues. As far as what's the most you can reduce upshift torque reduction, you can eliminate it completely. I just don't recommend it. So let me give you guys, like when it comes to torque reduction and what I do with torque reduction and tuning, there's two different schools of thought with Mopars. One is to leave all torque reduction in play. And so if you leave all torque reduction in play for upshift purposes, that means you've got engine torque reduction and you've got transmission torque reduction, meaning that the transmission is also controlling some of the torque reduction along with the engine side. The other way you can do it, and that's what will give you that pop, that kind of cool sound whenever they shift, that real characteristic torque management burble on the shift, which I actually kind of think sounds good. The other way you can do it is if you eliminate the torque reduction at the engine itself. And this is primarily for the HP variants too, but a lot of guys will limit that or will have some more limitations or some less limitations on that table. I don't really see a benefit for it, but some guys say that it improves shifting. So let me take you guys on a kind of a trip in the Wayback Machine with HP 70s. I know it's not a Nag 1, but the principle is still identical. I don't usually mess with shift time in terms of the quickness of the shift, because if you're messing with that, you need to be throwing line pressure at it. You don't want it to be soft on line pressure going into the shift if you're going that quickly. But anyway, which can actually help to slow the car down. Believe it or not, having something that hammers a shift like that, there's no slip time. And without any slip time, believe it or not, you can actually slow the car down. It's one of the reasons why I don't run my car in track mode. But it's kind of fun to play with track mode on the street, so I keep it the way that I keep it. Anyway, getting back to it, I did back-to-back testing with all of the torque management in play. I did testing with only the transmission commanding torque management, which is primarily timing, and no fueling adjustments, and no throttle chop. And then the other one was completely off altogether. No torque management at all was allowed. It was just hammer the shift through. So let me tell you what I found out. The car went the fastest on the day, I should say. The car went the fastest with no torque management whatsoever. But we're talking thousandths of a second here. It wasn't enough to even worry about. And the weird thing about it is that the time with the engine torque management off, but the trans on, was basically the same as having it completely off altogether, but you're chopping timing, which is really the best way to go about it. But having full torque management was, again, it was like, at the most, I think it was half a tenth, if memory serves me correct. It's been years ago, but it was like maybe half a tenth or something like that. With the reality of that being that transmission will last indefinitely behind that engine, and you're giving up really nothing throughout the entire quarter mile in terms of actual performance. You wouldn't see this being a difference in a roll race, for example. Something on the highway, you leave all of your torque management in place. And again, when it comes to the actual amount of time between shifts, I have a hard time messing with that because I've played with it and I had some kind of lousy results with it. So there's that. But for as far as torque management on or off, look, here's the funny thing. Back in the day, another back in the day story, but when these things first came out, one of the Diablo Sport was selling the hell out of their Trinity tuners, and they had basically a canned tune. And that tune was god-awful, but it did away with the multi-displacement system altogether. All the torque management was removed, and the knock sensor voltage was like at 3 volts or something like that across the board. Like they were eliminating the knock sensors, eliminating torque management in essence. And it was just kind of the Wild West back then. But it was funny that, you know, you would sometimes see transmissions start to fail, and usually it was because guys were beating the living hell out of them. So anyway, hopefully that answers the question, kind of gives you some ideas there. Shift is asking, is there any tips and tricks on removing and installing 392 intake actuator? Will the car run like stock after porting? Yeah, no, it'll run just like stock after porting. You got to remember, porting the manifolds, you're not porting them for extra power. You're basically just opening the thing up. You're blueprinting a part. So I'm going to grab one that I'm working on so I can show you what I'm talking about. Actually, I've got 2 manifolds that I can show you. And let me just kind of walk you through a couple of them that I'm working on right now. So, man, I'm hoping this shows up in a video because it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to show. Let me grab this light. So as you can see, when I go in and I'm opening these things up, the main idea that I have is I'm trying to first make the throat so that it is, that's pretty good actually right there. I'm trying to make the throat, see where I'm removing material? What I'm doing is I'm removing material in the direction of airflow and then kind of reshaping some of the outer edges and some of the short side down here, right over there. So that's really what I'm working on. It's all you're doing is you're blueprinting the thing. Now, when it comes to, and I haven't started working on these runners yet, but the throat's done. I mean, all the heavy lifting is done on the throat. There's just a couple of little small things to address. But when you get into the runners, I can show you guys this. It is really hard to show this. If I can maybe use this side. When you start getting into the, here we go. When you start getting into the runners, see those ledges? And this one is, you can't, this is not coming, this is stock. I haven't even touched these yet. See those ridges right there that are sticking up? That's all casting flash that I'll take out of there. This intake actually is brand new. It's got a lot of casting flash. Hopefully this is showing up, guys. There we go. The other thing that you can't see where those lines are? Those are the lines where the intake, the 3 different pieces come together. Let's see if I can show y'all another one. And this intake, I swear to, This is, I'm telling you, this one had to have been the first one out of the mold, because you can see every parting line and every, oh yeah, here you go. See, look down in that runner. See how there's boogers kind of hanging in there? That's actually casting flash in that runner. So that's what you're looking at, and you're removing all of that along with these really sharp transitions down in there. You can't really see it, but there's some sharp transitions in there. There's some more kind of little boogers hanging off of this one, but this one you can really see the boogers good. So, and then this one, what's going on with this one? Oh yeah, so you can kind of see down in there where there's some real prevalent lines where the two sides try to meet up in the direction of flow. Sometimes you'll get them like really sticking out, real sharp edges. And so I can show you one that I've already done the runners on. Hang on, hold on just a minute. So when I go in and start messing with these, it always what sucks about doing this with an LED light, it always looks like I ported this thing with a freaking, just, it looks like hell on video. But anyway, hopefully this is showing up. You can see that these are a lot cleaner all the way down into that port. Open them up a little bit. There you go. See how much more opened up those are, and they're a little bit cleaner. Well, they're a whole lot cleaner actually than those other ones. But what you can't see, this is what kind of sucks, is, there you go. There's another one of those runners. There you go, all opened up. So that's really the difference. But it's on the long side radius where there's a parting line, it's about as deep as you get your middle finger down into this thing. You can feel where there's just some real sharp transitions and edges. And I mean, you'll see me come back with like little cuts all over the place. Y'all saw me slice the piss out of my thumb in the last video. So, but yeah, that's a quick look sort of behind the scenes when it comes to the porting stuff. But no, you don't have to have a tune for it to work, for a ported manifold to work. Again, you're just blueprinting the part itself. It's making it to where you can run a larger manifold. Now, if the question is, do you need a tune to run with the larger, a throttle body? If you need a tune to run with a manifold that's been opened up for a throttle body, no, you really don't. If you go with a Fastman true through ported 84 millimeter or a Dr. Differential in Speed 85 millimeter, you should be in good shape. I never had an issue with mine. But the idea is to get that intake to where it'll at least flow, to help it flow what that throttle body can flow. The issue with the 6.4 manifold is that throat is a little bit restrictive. And what y'all didn't see, by the way, was the before on that throat. The throat on the new manifold was larger, but it had a huge ring inclusion. It was just, anyway. You're limited to the throttle body that you can run, which is kind of unfortunate. But the good thing is you can safely, realistically open them up to 85 millimeters and be good. The newer manifolds, the manifolds at least that this manifold here, had a significantly larger throat opening. It's just larger than what I'm used to seeing. I'm used to seeing 82. Never really seeing 83 millimeters, and this one was 84, almost like right on the money. So that was cool. But again, just so you know, that's kind of the limiting factor for those manifolds. Aside from that, they are really good. So But again, you're just blueprinting the part, so you don't have to worry about a tune. But hopefully that kind of gives you an idea for what's going on behind the scenes. Oh, is there any tips and tricks to removing and installing 392 intake actuator? Well, sort of. So what you want to do is you want to clock the actuator. So you're going to, you can't really install it the wrong way, but what you'll end up doing is, I've actually got this one taped up where the actuator goes. The truck actuator goes on the front of the manifold. Actually, the truck manifold's really good. You see those 3 bolt holes right there. The actuator portion goes in where that area is taped. You're going to put a slight amount of preload, in some cases, on that actuator. Just kind of sliding it on to line up the holes will actually preload that actuator a little bit. So no need to like twist it or anything like that. It's just you may feel it be a little bit snug as you're turning the actuator to get it to I don't know, sit in its home. But don't freak out. That slight preload is normal. And when you cycle the key, it'll cycle back and forth, and part of the pre-start deal is it'll go click click and it'll literally actuate it to get a range. Mr. Dar saying thanks, Pete. Thank you, buddy. Gary's saying hello, everyone. What's up, buddy? Chuck's saying hello, Gary. Chuck's saying Glocks are built like a tank, though. That's what I've heard. And then Boost is saying I've carried the same Glock 27 for 15 years and I'm a gun dealer. If that's, I'll tell you what, that's good to hear. That's one that you like and that you're comfortable with, because it's a like I say, it's like I'm open to anything when it comes to those. I just don't know all the different variants. Like I say, man, I miss my USP, but maybe I'll get another one. Gary's saying, well, no, not a gun chat. No. Dad's is saying, love the FN 509. I've heard about that too. That was what I was going to ask. Okay, so Dad's brings up a good point. FN 509 doesn't seem to, it doesn't matter what ammo you're running through it. So that's also kind of a thing. I mean, can I at least have fun with the thing at the range, with junk ammo and just, make noise? That's one of the more important things for me. It's just, playing with the thing, playing with different ammo, what the thing's going to like. I just don't like finding out that it doesn't like a specific ammo. Let's see. Brian's saying, took the Scat Charger out tonight after a few months of hibernation, got sideways from a 40 roll. Gotta love it for a 4,400 pound car. Absolutely. Oh, Chuck's saying 9's better for a concealed carry, but I like the bark of a 45. I like them both. One of my favorite guns that I've fired, I can't remember which Glock it was a Glock 45. I really, really liked that one, but that was 10 years ago. But when I lived in NorCal, I had a buddy of mine that was big into handguns, and we would go to the range, and he had a handgun for every occasion, it seemed like, and that was one of his that he had. And man, I really like that one a lot. Chuck saying, aren't we supposed to be talking about muscle cars? Oh yeah, it's open chat. We're talking a little bit about everything. Mike saying my favorite muscle car is a 556 45. Mike's talking about parts costs. Yeah, everything's ridiculous right now. Gates is super budget. Yeah, it is. Gates is fine, bro. Don't worry about it. Gates on everything. Don't worry about it. Chuck's saying, oh yeah, for the Mopar windshield being $1,500. Yeah, man, that stuff is crazy expensive. The replacement windshields are nuts. Chuck's saying 2020 RT Plus shaker. Cody's saying, what's going on, B? Hanging out with the family right now, but wanted to hop on and say what's up before I leave. Hey, buddy, what's up? Thank you for dropping by. So, Space Dog's asking, any more news on 392 direct connection? The only info that I know of on direct connection in general is that those dealerships that are going to be power brokers, their staff is going through the training process, and it's just kind of like just started. Their staffs are going through the training process on getting kind of spooled up on what they need to know for being a direct connection power broker. Better late than never. But anyway, looks like March we will start to have, if nothing else, parts start to show up at your power broker dealers, which is to say that cold air kits and Hellcat air boxes, snorkels, things like that that will fit a 392 should start becoming available. Now, with that being said, nothing specific about the 392, and I've been reaching out to folks now on this exact topic, the 392 upgrade topic, for the better part of last week, just trying to find any kind of direction, and none could be given. Now, if you're a boosted person, all the info seems to be out there, but if you're not and you're looking for something that is going to be at least some type of an upgrade that's just worth your time to even worry about, the only ones that I can think of that would come from direct connection that would be of any count would be something along the lines of just a generic tune upgrade, which would get you practically the same things that a pedal commander and a Hellcat airbox with a K&N filter or a Hellcat filter would get you in terms of actual gains in the way that the vehicle feels and everything else. There's just really the only other thing that they could do would be to adjust transmission tuning, which could be something that they do. But aside from that, brother, I got nothing for you, unfortunately, for the 392. And as a matter of fact, not only is that there's nothing out there, but it's conspicuously left out. It's almost like they heard a lot of people grumbling and threw in oh shoot, we got to put something in there for the 392, and it feels to me like it's a space filler. When I did the video about updates, what could the 392 updates be, there's like you've got the pre-stage, stage 1 and stage 2. And my thought on that, the only thing I could think of that would actually be a viable option would be some type of forced induction, one way or another. It would be novel if they could use the IHI supercharger from the Hellcat and have that be an upgrade to the 392 and just basically make the thing a low boost alternative to buying a Maggie through the Edelbrock E-Force kit or a Whipple. ProCharger will always have their thing, but that might be kind of tough to get through EO numbers. Get EO numbers or rather a carb certification for that. So I don't know. The other thing is that I'm a bit worried about is if they do have any significant power increase type modifications, which would read between the lines on that, which is boost. If they did have something like that, would they still offer a warranty for it? Now, just keep in mind, 392s can manage boost just fine with the right tune. The problem, and you got to remember, guys, the Hellcat was originally test bed. The test bed engine was a 6.4. It wasn't a 6.2 liter. Kind of a bit of trivia for you. In fact, that engine was even found. Somebody was able to track down the Dyno Mule 392. Check that out when you get bored. Look up 392 Hellcat development engine or something like that. You'll find it eventually if you start the search with that. Just use your Dick Tracy skills and you'll find it. But anyway, back to the point. The 392 will handle boost just fine. A lot of it's going to be tune-related issues that can cause problems with that thing, and fuel quality will cause problems with it. You just can't run a ton of power through it because you've got a big bore. It's a 4090 bore, so it's like you can stick your fist into that bore. The downside to it is that the ring gap is tight, even for the size of piston that you're working with. It's still tight from an NA point of view. I think it's like 0.15 or something like that, or rather 15 thousandths is the 15 or 18 thousandths is the ring gap, and it's just too tight for something like that. With that high of compression, you got to remember it's an 11-to-1 engine, so there's that to think about too. But like I say, unfortunately, there's just nothing to report, and that sucks because I was so hoping against hope that Direct Connection would come out and just tear open the curtain and say, look, we've got with ZF, we've got a gear for you. It's a 3.27 or a 3.31, something in that range, basically 3.3-ish gear for the car. We've got a revised tune, primarily transmission tuning, can't really mess with fueling, and 91 octane is what it is, so we can't throw timing at it, but we can hot rod that transmission tune a little bit, get you a little bit more throttle response out of the thing. There you go. And for you guys that are really out there wanting to haul, we've got some type of a low boost blower that they can put on it and send it and have a good time. Those would be some of the packages I would like to see. I just don't see that being the case, and we will, time will tell, right? We'll get to that point where we'll be able to say, yes, Direct Connection is doing something for the 392, but unfortunately, I just don't know when that's going to be. And now starts the rant. So what the F is going on with Direct Connection anyway? We've been hearing about this thing coming for so long now that we've all basically forgotten about it. You ever hear that old saying, like, no news is good news? But, if you have any news at all, it needs to be relevant. It needs to be real. You can't just talk about something that's coming, because the talking about something that's coming, you're going to start getting excited about. Then it doesn't matter spectacularly on the front conversation, a brand like Mopar. And the point that I'm getting at is this is such a rollout. This is a weak, limp shake of a roll is coming out. Cat form, the Hellcat, the red eye. I don't give a red ass about the red eye. Hellcat variant, Hellcat, a red eye, what matter. Those cars, it's paying fruit to get more of them, period. Discussion. Super low hanging fire at them. I'm going off of your flip A. I had 5 degrees of a tune that's already hot. How do you add degrees of timing to any the variants? Talking about to do with inject into the 90 fresh fuel pump. What is that going to say about variant? So anyway, a lot of doubt about what this program is going to be. I would love to know who the calibration is for Direct Connect. Because for combinations, when and it just play, but when I see what they're talking, well, this is going to gain your 60 or 80, and I'm going, cool, but the red eye calibration is there able to be run on 1 octane stuff for me. And that's the point of all of that, bring it to you, that is supposed to be hanging fruit. So now you're talking, I've done a chart right here, floating around in here. Hang on. On with E80. Yeah, we were 40 horsepower. I just know in my head because I was answering asking on that video. Yeah, in some areas we're able to get up to 40 horsepower hills. That is a full on 390 full ball 392. The Echo curve. The issue that I'm seeing here is that there had just in essence the marketing or drive guys on this, and again, this is it's turned a business This whole thing is run business decision. The problem is that I'm excited about it. I'm not in. I'm looking at now. Many of these parts actually showing up. Assume start showing up. I'm not seeing any as far as drag strip result. Now is the time getting that data. What are we talking in terms of the 3.9 drag strip result? What are we talking about in terms of none of that talked about? So it's really frustrating. Also offer this, one of the bigger parts of this, it's just to get honest to get asking for. I don't care about it. Oh, Specs is saying this choppy. I missed some of the, oh no. Ah, crap. All right, guys. Shit. This again. We